A lot of Big Ten teams went into the transfer portal this offseason and grabbed themselves a starting quarterback, but there's one that is receiving a little bit more expectations, maybe one that's receiving a little bit more hype. SMU to Wisconsin transfer Tanner Mordecai. Is he the best of the transfer quarterbacks in the Big Ten as we approach the 2023 season?
From LA to Piscataway, all Big Ten all year long. This is Big Ten 10.
A lot of turnover at the quarterback position in our beloved B1G this season. It is projected that 7 Big Ten teams will have transfer quarterbacks as their starting signal callers in 2023. But here's the thing. Even though these teams are looking for this quick fix at the quarterback position, I like what almost every single one of these guys, I like what every single one of these guys really brings into the conference. Half of the teams in the Big Ten are slated. That's 7 teams are slated to have transfer quarterbacks as their starting quarterbacks here this season. But Tanner Mordecai is just receiving a little bit more hype. He's receiving a little bit more expectations because of what he's been able to do the last 2 seasons at SMU. Like, when you look at all of these guys and you compare them head to head, Tanner Mordecai the last 2 seasons has put up the best numbers, and he's shown the most out of all 7 of these transfer quarterbacks. So is he the best transfer quarterback out of all of these? We're going to break that down as we continue throughout this video. But he's shown me he has the ability to sling it. He's shown me that he has a power to arm. That's what he's shown me at SMU. Now, you're going up against American Athletic Conference defenses, so maybe you're going to pad those stats a little bit more. Now, there have been some criticisms to Tanner Mordecai, spring game being one of them. Now, you've seen players throughout college football that have a tremendous spring game and don't do that well during the season. You've seen players that don't really impress in the spring game and have an outstanding season. So don't put a ton of emphasis into spring games. Okay? That's, I think, the first thing. I think a lot of people out there put he did this in the spring game, so he's going to do this during the season. Let's not go there quite yet. Yes, I know Tanner Mordecai threw a whole bunch of interceptions, and it did not look good when he was in and played during the spring game. But maybe he's just trying to impress some people in that type of situation. So let's talk about Tanner Mordecai against some of these other transfer quarterbacks that are coming into the Big Ten last season. Let's talk about criticisms. Let me get back to that first. I think the criticism is his not playing very well against some of the better teams that he's faced on the schedule. Let's take a look back at last season. Maryland, TCU, UCF, and Tulane. These are all games. He threw a couple of interceptions. He had completion rates in the mid-50s in every single one of these games. But you know what all of these games have in common? In every single one of those games, Tanner Mordecai threw the ball 45 times or more. When you put the ball in the air that much, you are bound to not complete every pass. And especially when you're trying to keep up, with the Marylands and the TCUs and teams that are Power 5 teams, you got to try to put the team on your shoulders a little bit, and you got to try to create plays yourself. Sometimes that's forcing the ball into a window. Sometimes that's trying to go out there and make a play. So although those stats tell that story, let's put it into perspective a little bit and let's give it some context as it pertains to Tanner Mordecai. Now, I'm still going to say, is it great that, he's putting up these numbers against these teams? No, obviously not. And although he may be the best of these transfer quarterbacks, it doesn't mean he's going to be a top 4 or 5 quarterback in the Big Ten this season. It's just when you look at the experienced newcomers out of the transfer portal, I believe when it comes to arm talent, when it comes to skill, when it comes to the ability to hit that 10 to 15 yard out route and make those throws, I believe talent-wise, he has the most out of any of these transfer quarterbacks in the Big Ten Conference. Now let's take a look at the transfer quarterbacks that we're taking a look at. Nebraska acquired Jeff Sims. He's transferring over from Georgia Tech out of the ACC. Hudson Card, Texas, to Purdue. Taven Jackson, crowded quarterback room at Tennessee. He's coming over to Indiana. Luke Altmaier didn't win the quarterback job at Ole Miss. He's coming in to Champaign, Illinois. Cade McNamara got beat out by J.J. McCarthy. Of course, the injury. He transfers from Michigan to Iowa. And then you have Ben Bryant in his 842nd year of college football. He is transferring from Cincinnati to Northwestern. So let's take a look at that. When you take a look at that list of quarterbacks, when you break it down, let's start one by one by one. Jeff Sims is a guy whose completion rate now, although he's kind of he did play Power 5 football, this is a guy that was battling through injuries. This was a guy that his completion rate was in the 50s. Nowhere like Tanner Mordecai had 10 points better in terms of his completion percentage than Jeff Sims did. Now I understand the group of 5 versus the Power 5 type of battle that's going on over there. But I've seen good things from Jeff Sims. I just see better arm talent more consistently out of Tanner Mordecai. You look at a guy like Hudson Card, who had his opportunities at Texas, it just didn't really pan out for him. I believe Hudson Card is one of the guys and one of the contenders on this list that I think is going to compete with Tanner Mordecai in terms of putting up the best numbers out of these 7 guys in the Big Ten this season. There's been a lot of positive reports coming out of West Lafayette about what Hudson Card is going to look like in this Graham Harrell offense. Cade McNamara, I think, is a guy that you could really throw in there because going out and winning the Big Ten championship all the way back in 2021. He had 1 season, right, compared to Tanner Mordecai's 2 seasons. I know you're talking about Big Ten versus American Athletic Conference. Once again, got to hammer that home, the difference between the level of play there. But Michigan won the Big Ten championship, yes, in 2021. Yes, Cade McNamara was the starting quarterback. But let's not make no mistake about it. Cade McNamara was not the big reason why Michigan won the Big Ten championship in 2021. Cade McNamara did a great job protecting the football. Cade McNamara played his role on the team. But on defense, when you have David Ojabo and Aiden Hutchinson, they were a big part. You talk about the running game with Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum that year, that great offensive line. There were so many great parts. Cade McNamara was maybe a little bit along for the ride. Now, although he did steer the ship and he did do a good job steering the ship, I see more arm talent out of Tanner Mordecai. I think there's throws that Tanner Mordecai can make that maybe Cade McNamara cannot make, at least from what we've seen so far on film. That being said, I believe Cade McNamara, kind of a lot like Tanner Mordecai, I think they're both in systems that fit what they want to do from a quarterback perspective. All right. Taven Jackson, we just haven't seen much of him, right? Luke Altmaier, we've seen, 1 game, that Sugar Bowl when Matt Corral got hurt. We just haven't seen enough from some of these other guys. Ben Bryant, he's put up all right numbers at Cincinnati, but Tanner Mordecai has done a lot better against the same competition that Ben Bryant has taken over. I believe Tanner Mordecai is the best transfer quarterback in the Big Ten Conference as we approach 2023. Will he be a top 5? Will he be a top 6 quarterback in the Big Ten when you factor all 14 of them in? I don't know. I still think that's up for debate. I still think there's strengths and weaknesses and adjustments that Tanner Mordecai is going to have to make. He's going to have to get rid of the football quicker instead of having more time to throw. There are adjustments that Tanner will have to make. But when you compare him to these newcomers from other colleges within the Big Ten Conference, I believe he is the quarterback that can put up the biggest numbers, that can have the biggest impact out of these new transfer quarterbacks in the Big Ten. What do you think? Is there a quarterback you think that is better than Tanner Mordecai entering this 2023 Big Ten season? Let me know in the comments below. I'm excited to see what all these guys can do in the Big Ten this upcoming season.
Thanks for watching Big Ten Ted, where it's all Big Ten all year long. Make sure to like the video to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses, and subscribe to the channel for updates on Big Ten content that drops every day.